Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP creates a binder of the abuse she suffered and shows it to the new wife. Am I the butthole for sending my ex's wife a binder documenting his abuse after I found out that she was pregnant? I have an ex who I was in an abusive relationship with that ended with quite a bang. He was arrested for harassment and threats with a dangerous weapon, put on probation for 5 years, and can never own a firearm again. The abuse started mentally, then financially, then physically. During my years with him, I did think to save a good amount of evidence of the abuse and documented a lot in personal journals. In the years since, I've gone to a lot of therapy, and I mean a lot, and ended up compiling that documentation into a binder. I basically scrapbooked my way through processing trauma. And that binder has been sitting in a storage unit since I moved in with my now husband. Well, I knew that my ex ended up marrying a girl that I knew from high school who was sweet and smart and very liberal. My ex is a deadbeat with a misspelled tattoo that he did on himself, and he wished that he was at the Capitol on the 6th. But that pair never made sense to me, and I just prayed that he was capable of change and didn't do what he did to me to her. When I found out that she was pregnant with his kid, I couldn't stop worrying about her. I found out, as expected, the story she got from him was that I was crazy and a cheater and I made things up. And she likely didn't even know about his arrest and conviction. I don't know what their relationship was like behind closed doors, but I knew that I'd have an endless amount of what-ifs if he had a child with her, and was anything like he was with me, because nobody deserves the treatment that I got, and no child should ever have to see that or think that it's okay. So I made a copy of every single page I put in the binder and packed them up with a handwritten note offering to talk about anything if she'd like. I gave them to a mutual friend to deliver so that she couldn't intercept. About a week later, she texted me. We met for coffee and she brought the papers, pulling pages out one by one and asking for context and comparing the story he told to mine. After a bit, she just sat silently and told me how sorry she was for what I went through. I was a little surprised she believed it, no question, and she told me she didn't believe any of it until the official court records and my victim impact statement. Then it was like it all clicked how real it was. I offered her a room or any help if she wanted to leave, but she said that she was going to head home and pack a bag for her parents. It's been a few days since, and she's staying with him until she decides her next move, but hasn't told him the real reason behind this all yet. At first, I had no doubt or regret about what I did, but I've had some people tell me that I had no business blowing up her life, and I have no idea what he's like now. But I was doing what I think I would want someone to do for me. I'm not sure. Am I the butthole? Personally, I think you did the right thing. While some may see this as meddling, I see it as just extending a helping hand. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. And your ex gets, who knows, anywhere between like 3.5 to 5 out of 5 buttholes depending on what he actually did, because OP was pretty vague. Suffice to say, he sounds like a real piece of work. Am I the butthole for refusing to let my sister and her kids move into the house that I bought? I'm a 32-year-old woman, and I just bought my first house. It has 3 bedrooms, a yard, and is just what I need right now. I'm single and have 2 dogs. My sister is 34, has 3 kids, and lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. Lately, she's been talking about how such a tiny living space is not enough for the 4 of them. When she learned about the house I bought, she became very upset and told me I was being wasteful, as I'm single and don't have kids, and therefore don't need such a big space. I reminded her that what I do with my hard-earned money is none of her business. She went on to complain to our mother about how selfish I was being. Yesterday evening, I got a call from my mom telling me I should let my sister and her kids move into the house. My house. I told her that no one was going to live in the house that I paid for but me, and that the extra space would be great for my dogs to play in. My mom also got very upset with me and told me that I was being unreasonable, that my sister's kids are growing and they need the space more than my dogs. I offered to help my sister out financially so that she could rent a bigger place. My mom got my sister on the phone, who shot down the idea, telling me that I needed to let her and her kids live in my house. When I refused again, she very generously suggested a compromise. I could live in the house with her and her kids, and I wouldn't have to find somewhere else to live. She said this as if she was doing me a favor. I told her she'd lost her mind and hung up. Am I the butthole or is she? I know my sister is struggling financially, but this kind of entitlement is ridiculous. OP, she is so entitled that I literally misunderstood the story. When your sister said she wanted to move in, I just assumed that she meant moved in with you. But no, she wants you to just give her the entire house for free. So your sister is just living in fantasy land. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your sister 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Will I be the butthole if I refuse to buy a tacky painting that my sister-in-law made for my family? I'm a 52-year-old woman, and this situation concerns my husband's brother, Drew, who's 59, and his wife of 5 years, Suzanne, who's 35. Drew supports Suzanne on his income while she focuses on her dream of being an artist. She makes paintings of people and animals and has a website where she advertises her work for sale. Privately, I don't think her art is very good. It's absolutely better than what I could do, but it doesn't look professional, if you know what I mean. My husband feels the same, so we have not opted to purchase any of her art, despite her dropping hints here and there about it. The art on her website is priced in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. I realize that labor and cost of materials must be taken into account, but given the quality, those prices seem outrageous to me. I suspect she's not making regular sales because she started making portraits of friends, family, or pets as a surprise. And usually, said family and friends end up feeling obligated to buy the painting as a courtesy. Unfortunately, my husband and I were the latest victim of this sales tactic. My son recently proposed to his girlfriend, and we took the two of them, his girlfriend's parents, and our daughter out to a fancy dinner to celebrate. Both my kids posted pictures from dinner on social media. Without telling anyone, Suzanne decided to make a painting of one of these pictures of everyone smiling for the camera. She revealed the big surprise at a party that she and Drew hosted 2 weeks ago. The painting is a whopping 40-inch by 58-inch piece, and I honestly think that it's awful kitsch and tacky. I told Suzanne that it was sweet of her to commemorate such a special moment in our family, but I carefully avoided saying anything about liking it. As I feared, she kept dropping hints throughout the party about how we could buy it as a wedding gift, and she would be happy to give us a big discount off what she would charge someone else. But who else would buy it? I politely dodged these hints, and she was clearly disappointed. Over the weekend, Drew reached out to my husband to say that Suzanne feels hurt that we never made an offer. He said that it's becoming obvious as the years go by that we've never purchased one of her pieces, even though we have the means to do so, and it would mean a lot to them if we'd buy the painting. Her original asking price was $2.5 thousand, and Drew said that he'll reduce it further to $1,900. It's not about the money. Not entirely. It's the principle of the thing. I feel like I'm being strong-armed into paying for something I never asked for, don't like, and don't have space for in my house. I asked, and my son and his fiancée don't want it. My husband thinks that we should just buy it to keep the peace in the family and avoid a potential rift with Suzanne and Drew. He also says that the way I talk makes me sound like a snob, even though I would never share these opinions with anyone I know but him. Will I be the butthole if I stand my ground and refuse? This is a super clear no butthole situation here for OP, but also I'll give you a piece of advice that I've learned over my lifetime. One item you should never ever give someone else as a gift is art, because art is just so personal and subjective, and even something that's like objectively beautiful, someone else could look at it and be like, yo, this sucks. I don't want to look at this every day. So just don't ever give someone art as a gift, in my opinion. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Suzanne gets 1 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not following my husband's family tradition? I'm a 28-year-old woman, and my 29-year-old husband comes from a very traditional family. While we disagree with his family on many things, it has never really been an issue, until now. I'm currently 8 months pregnant, and my husband and I couldn't be happier as we've been trying for a while. Since I found out that I was pregnant, we've been discussing names for our child. In my husband's family, the tradition wants the child to be named after his grandfather. Basically, firstborn men in his family only have one of two names, James or Henry. My husband's grandfather was James, so his name is James too. My husband's father is called Henry, so our child should be too, and so on and so forth. But my husband and I didn't really feel like calling our child Henry, and although it's a beautiful way to honor family members, we really wanted our child to have a name that would be personal, that would be truly his. So we chose another name and decided to wait until after the birth to reveal it to everyone. This week, my mother-in-law came to visit us and help us set up for the baby. She brought us some presents, among which was a bunch of clothes on which she hand-embroidered the name Henry. I said that it was nice and thanked her for it, but told her that we wouldn't be naming our child Henry, as we had already told her in the past. She started insisting and saying that it was a tradition, so it had to be that way. I explained to her that we'd rather give our child a name that we chose, and that Henry could be his middle name. She immediately went to my husband and started saying things like, "You're not going to let her do that to our family," making it very dramatic, saying that I was breaking a tradition that went back hundreds of years. Honestly, I'm not so sure about that. My husband tried to explain that we both agreed on the name and all the reasons why we made that choice, but she wouldn't listen. She suggested that we name him Henry on paper as his legal name and then call him something else. But I thought that would be confusing for him and told her that he would be named what we chose. She kept begging my husband, saying that I was ruining the family tradition, and at one point I lost it, which is partially to blame on hormones, I think. And I told her that it was our child, so we did what we wanted, and we didn't have to follow a stupid tradition. She stormed out, and my husband has since received texts from his father and sister accusing me of making his mother feel really bad, and some other stuff that I don't really remember. I get the importance of tradition, and it can be really beautiful, but also I feel like that shouldn't be an obligation, and it's okay to change things. We won't change our baby's name because we're really set on that. But maybe we were wrong for not following the tradition. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm mentally exhausted by all this drama. Well, funny coincidence, OP. It seems that in your family has a tradition of each child getting their own individual name, right? Because you aren't named after your grandmother or great-grandmother. So aren't you actually honoring your family's tradition? And I'll bet you your tradition has been going on longer than their tradition. So wouldn't that make your tradition even more important? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. And I'm inclined to give your husband 0 out of 5 buttholes as well, unless he refuses to step up and take responsibility and defend you in front of his family. I'm giving your over-dramatic in-laws 0.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for embarrassing my husband's coworker for embarrassing me and my husband? A few months ago, after many years of trying to conceive, my husband and I, he's 32, I'm 33, had a gorgeous, healthy baby boy. My husband and I are black, which is pertinent to this story. We were over the moon, and family, friends, and coworkers had also been excited for us. Right after I delivered, my husband emailed a birth announcement with a photo of our son to everyone in his office. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and my husband came home fuming after his first day back at work. One of his coworkers informed him that another guy in the office, a new young employee my husband barely knew, had been telling everyone willing to listen that my husband couldn't be our son's father because that baby is too light to be his, and his hair is too long and straight. That's a white man's baby, or an Asian's. This guy proceeded to tell everyone what a sucker my husband was, and that his excitement over finally becoming a dad was blinding him to the reality that he had been cheated on, and his wife impregnated by another man. Side note for anyone who's still unaware in 2025, black babies in general are fairly pale as newborns, and their skin darkens over the first few weeks. Hair changes to a curlier pattern and are usually gradual as well. Our son was no exception, and is now my husband's mini-me. My husband said that he immediately confronted and questioned the guy, who completely denied saying anything inappropriate and claimed he only said, as a joke, the baby was too cute to be my husband's. But others in the office confirmed the first coworker's account. Not only that, the guy had tried to parlay his superior perception skills into some weird form of workplace clout. Fortunately, the guy got moved to a different shift that same week, so my husband didn't have to see him again. That is, until a company event this past weekend. Families were invited, and we took our son. And who should come and insert himself into our group as we were chatting with the boss but Brown Noser McMouth? He interrupted our conversation and introduced himself to the boss, shaking his hand. When I realized who he was, my anger came flooding back and I said, I don't believe we've met, but aren't you the guy who went around telling everyone in the office that I must have cheated on my husband with a white or an Asian man and that this couldn't be his son? The guy went red and silent. The boss said to him, see me in my office first thing Monday, and walked away. I think someone's fired. My husband said I went too far because it was already over and done with. I said it wasn't done for me until I'd had my say, and I was the one being defamed, not him. Am I the butthole? Hey, if this guy gets to jeopardize your marriage, then you get to jeopardize his job. In my opinion, turnabout is fair play. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the coworker 1 out of 5 buttholes.
That was rSlash Am I the Butthole? And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.